This is the Bible of the electrogenic cell. It's not just the best book ever written on the subject, it's the only book ever written on this subject. Brought to you by supporters of Christ.
The full exercise. Got up, rode the bike. That's like what, 2 miles, 2.5 miles. Then practice.
We did that crazy cardio circuit that he be getting us on. Then we jump rope and then we go to the
right. So I'm saying all that. Did another 2.5 miles. And then you was So all that plus the swimming, that's hitting your hamstrings. It's not just the fact that you was in the water. Oh, we already started the live. Very interesting. Okay. So not only are we talking about the blueprint that builds itself, we on the live that goes live itself. Shout out to the twins in the building. Shout out to the twins in the building. Twin is halfway trolling and halfway supporting. That's why I love him. That's why I love them, but I know that's Tech. Tech is running like 75 businesses, 175 political campaigns. So he is not here for class. He is definitely here for the support though. So definitely love and appreciate it. All right. Let's see how long twins stay. Definitely appreciate that. Definitely appreciate that. Yeah, man. Definitely, man. Definitely. Listen. All right. So before we get into day 3, right? Before we get into day 3, I had a couple of people hit me up from the Patreon family, right? And I just wanted to run through a couple of things that you may have missed, or I may have poorly packaged, or I may have poorly articulated it, right? Or maybe I haven't mentioned it at all. Like maybe I just haven't presented it, like made it plain, like, make it plain, Brother Malcolm. Maybe I haven't done my make it plain, Brother Malcolm, right? So we have our daily prayer system, right? Our daily prayer, right? There's the spoken portion, right? And the spoken portion is to help you visualize the body, the most important part of your anatomy as per our program, inspiration, right? Religion, culture, however you're more comfortable phrasing it, right? And that's the circulatory system with the hyper focus on the heart, right? The heart, the QRST complex, the electromagnetic wave from the SA node, the AV node to the Purkinje fibers. That is the most important thing for any human being alive to focus on. That is not only is it the number one killer, but it is the thing that is literally keeping you alive, right? So the prayer focuses on that part, you know, the spoken part and the visualization that goes with that. But the exercise portion, right? I just want to elucidate, really, you know, just articulate a little bit what you have in terms of the exercise portion. You're doing toe raises and heel raises the first 2 minutes of the prayer. The prayer is only 4 minutes. And within 4 minutes, you go through 5 exercises. So you really only have about 30 to 45 seconds per exercise, right? So you're doing about 45 seconds worth of toe raises, about 45 seconds worth of heel raises. That is to get all of the muscles, the connective tissue, the lymphatic fluid, the blood flowing, the nerves, everything in the feet and the lower legs active, right? That's to start moving all of the blood. And when I say the nerves, right, in the same way as, and I think sometimes we think of nerves as stationary, but the nerves, you have to think of the nerves as a fluid. And I think we go back to Kemet, right? Then Egypt, then Greece, right? In that period, even India at the time, the nerves were also considered like a fluid conduction, right? And I think that kind of loosely like floated around and stayed on the books till maybe like Galvani started doing the experiments on the frog, and they start figuring out there was some electric activity. And then I think our mindset kind of flipped to thinking of the nerves more as like just like dead tissue, unless an electric impulse is going through it. So it's just like a tissue that's there, but then there's electric that goes through it at some point. And so other times nothing is happening. So it's just kind of, it would be 1,000% more accurate though, right, for us in 2025 to view the nerves, if we got to go either or, what they were doing, Greece, India, Egypt, Kemet, would be more accurate for you to think of in your mind than to think of how we kind of currently do, right? Because the electricity generated through the nerves is ion activity. Ion activity takes place via fluid, right? So it's really like a combination of the two. It is electrical activity, but it's electrical activity because you have ions changing the resting membrane of the nerves, which is flowing in and out of the nerve cells, right? So it's two things can be true. It's actually electrical activity, but based on the fluid movement of ions, right? So my point in that whole little long soliloquy right there is, when you start off the prayer, right, toe raises, heel raises, we want to get the electricity in the nerves flowing, right? We want to get the blood and all of the capillaries that are in your feet flowing. We want to get the lymph flowing, right? When you get those fluids all moving, those are that movement, right? That's what's going to help start to gobble up blood sugar. And then once you move past gobbling up blood sugar, that's what's going to start to initiate fat metabolism, right? Now we're going to move up from the feet and the lower legs, right? You're going to go from toe raises and heel raises, about 45 seconds each, to squats, right? Squats is going to finish your lower body. Squats is going to get the quads, the glutes, And just by proxy, it's going to give the hamstring some movement. It's going to give the hamstring some movement. Now, I don't know what Chase was talking about earlier. He got little DOMs in his hamstring, so he think he gonna be dunking by tomorrow morning. Like, yo, Dad, my hamstring's feeling sore. I think I'm gaining some hops. I think I'm getting these bunnies. I'm like, bro, you gotta cut it out, bro. You just sore. You ain't nothing special happening. You all right. You all right. You all right. Ain't nothing special happening. Uh-oh, we done went crazy. Woo, let's go. Let's start the super chat. I noticed I see something out the side of I see something out the corner of my eye. I told y'all he was here for the support. Yeah, I told y'all he was here for the support. Yeah, I quadruply appreciate the time, bro. The money too. Not confuse anybody. Definitely need the money. Just saying. Super appreciate the time as well. But heel raises, toe raises, we're going to get the feet, lower legs, then we're going to get the squats. So we get the quads, the hammies, and the glutes. Remember the cheat code. If you don't learn nothing else from this whole program, remember the cheat code. Most of your metabolism is in your legs. Not only is that a cheat code for diabetes, because just by that little quick 2.5 minutes worth of leg exercises, you're cleaning all of those fluids, getting rid of that, cycling the blood sugar. Let me not say getting rid of the blood sugar, because your body's going to replace it, right? But you're cycling through that blood sugar, right? And as you cycle through that blood sugar, that's how you activate, you get the thyroid involved, right? Because people say things, but I'm not sure if people know what they're saying fully, right? Not to say that what they're saying is wrong, but I'm not sure if they know what they're saying fully, right? We know that T3, T4, thyroid hormone speeds up our metabolism. But for the most part, I think that conversation just like stops right there. I don't think that we know, so you still have to initiate you still got to like crank the engine. You still got to crank the engine. It's not like the thyroid is just going to like do it by itself. It's not, like Chris Tucker, Rush Hour, he said, you got to stop eating thyroids, like everything in our body is based on mobility. Our bodies were built on mobility. When single cell organisms became more complex, right? A part of the organisms becoming more complex was so that they would have the ability to move around, more complex movement. Like that was a large part of the purpose of single cells coming together, forming tissues, glands, organs, bones, etc., so that they could move around. So a lot of how our body is designed, the movement is like the kickstart, like the crank for the engine, right? So understanding that sugar metabolism happens in the muscle, skeletal muscle, and most of your skeletal muscle, your largest skeletal muscles, are in your legs, right? Then understanding the way energy works, right? So phosphocreatine, that's just to get the cell going. That's like your mind says go. You got to have a little quick energy source there. Any coherent pools of electrons, those are going to work within the phosphocreatine system. That's boom. That's the first thought. Like soon as you think it, up to like the maybe 9, 10, 15 seconds. Then after that, glucose kicks in. And then after you get glucose to start going, after maybe 30 seconds, right? After maybe about 30 seconds or so, then you initiate the breaking down of fats, right? All of these are to facilitate electricity production. right? So you got different speeds at which it goes. So as soon as you think something, you have movement. That's phosphocreatine system. Right after that, sugar. Then after that is fat, right? But that whole program got to go. You got to initiate the creatine system to initiate the glucose to initiate the fats, right? So you got to get that activation in, right? All right. So then we move from the lower body to the upper body. Now, push-ups, like all exercises, they have their focal points. You're doing compound movements always when you're doing calisthenics, but you still have focal points, right? Compound movement means basically a bunch of different muscles is being used at once, right? But you still have your focal points, and your focal points are going to be where you move the oxygen and grand opening. It's going to be where you move the oxygen, inspiration, where you move the breath to, right? Now, and then we got our jumping jacks, right? Or our jump rope. That's for a totally different purpose. The reason why we finish it off with the last 30 seconds, 45 seconds of the jumping activity is because we have to stimulate the bones, the collagen, the tendons, the ligament, all of that, all of those piezoelectric tissues, all of those piezoelectric tissues that need to be shocked in order to produce electricity, right? They produce electricity via being shocked, right? So that's that, right? But the push-ups, right? Remember, the primary driver of electricity production in your body is oxygen, right? It's the primary driver. The primary place for electricity production is in your chest, in your heart. So the reason why push-ups can offer you something that no drug ever synthesized by Big Pharma can, right? Because till this very moment, right? And I don't think it'll ever be done, but we can just comment on what we know so far. There's no drug that can brag and say that in any shape, form, or fashion, there's a 96% reduction of cardiovascular disease risk by taking this drug. No drug can say that. No drug can say that. There are no studies based on any drug ever invented that can make that claim. Push-ups can make that claim. Push-ups can make that claim, right? So you got 45 seconds, right, built into the prayer system. And you're doing that 5 times a day, right? 5 times a day. Now, what does the science say? The science says if you can do 40 to 60 push-ups in less than 60 seconds, well, you got a 45-second window 5 times a day. You have a 45-second window 5 times a day to build up to that 96% reduction in cardiovascular disease risk, right? So my point in saying that is that because there's people asking, right? There's people asking. So I just want to take some time out to just walk through it a little bit, right? So that you get, there is a baseline exercise component already in place, right? Above, beyond, or outside of anything that anybody already has going on. Because when we speak on the internet, even if I'm only talking to 10 people, right? Or I'm talking to 1,000 people, right? Everybody's at a different fitness level and a different health level, right? Different fitness level, meaning they can perform exercise at different speed, different strength, lift different amount of weight, blah, blah, blah. Different health level, right? Organs, lungs, smokers, non-smokers, drinkers, non-drinkers. I've been vegan for 80. I was vegan before you was born, Inky. You know, I got all of those. I got folks Chase age watching. I got folks, my mama and them age. You know what I'm saying? Like so there's a baseline of exercise. And if you go through each time you do it, I suggest 3 to 5 times a day, right? But each time you do it, we've already done the math. Even if you're on the lower end, maybe you can only do, 5 or 10 half squats. You might only be able to get 10 push-ups with your knees down, lady style, that still generates over 30,000 joules, right? Now, if you're at the higher level, that's over 120,000, 150,000 joules 5 times a day. So if you're generating over 100,000, that's 500, that's over 500,000 joules a day you're generating, right? For the people that, may not be hip, joules is the measure of electricity your body produces, right? And so that's our focal point, right? And I want to get everybody used to thinking joules instead of counting calories. Don't focus on counting calories, focus on counting joules. How much electricity you're producing through your movement, what you eat, your thinking. Thinking produces joules, right? Your brain just sitting there thinking. If you read a book, you put your brain to work. If you study, you put in your brain to work. There's a different amount of electricity your brain needs to study versus, watching Gillian Wallow. I'm just saying. Only Facts Club, right? And you know it without any studies, because you can watch a show and it's just, it's nothing to watch a show. You could start reading a heavy book, and after 10 pages, 40 pages, whatever, you got to put that book down. You might even need a little nappy, right? Okay, see, the twins done started it off. Let's go. Wait a minute. The twins done went crazy. That's two super chats. And then they done got Paul activated. Let's go. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, I told y'all, super chats is live stream vitamins. Super chats is pre-workout powder for the live stream. Oh my goodness. Yeah. So with the prenatal, I would probably just do the bitters and the blue magic and the mama tonics, maybe. Yeah, I might not do the whole detox. The detox is more like pre-pregnancy. That's more like prepping, trying to get pregnant, right? To go for the preparatory phase. That's how I did it anyway, right? Planning on making a baby, right? Well, my first go round, we didn't plan, right? But for the most part, the rest of my babies, that's why I kind of got them all grouped around the same time, because I tried to be in the flow of nature and plant in the fall and harvest in the spring and the summer. So the preparatory time was the detox, and then that's more like bitters and woo-woo. Pregnancy time is more just like mama tonics, blue magic, like just the nutrition, maybe some moringa, vitamin D's, that kind of package. Yo, Okay, Twin is trolling. Twin is trolling, but I love it. I love it. I wish I could play the Jay-Z right now. Show you how to do this, son. Yeah, he right now, he lead by example. He showing everybody how to do it. Yo, 3 super chats and 1 live. Let's go. Now, I appreciate you too, Paul. I appreciate you more than you appreciate me. Trust me. Without y'all, I can't do this. Without y'all, the lights goes off. All right. So, just to finish up, though, I want to show y'all maybe a couple of little pieces, right? Just so in case y'all want to jump down a couple of these rabbit holes, because there is some stuff where we could jump down some of these rabbit holes, right? You know how we do. We gotta try to keep it as thorough as possible. Let me see. What is this? Is this the one? Physiological adaptations. Yeah. Yeah, we got to jump down as many of these rabbit holes as possible. So just for verification again to what exactly it is that you have, right? This is something that's brand new. It's not brand new in the sense that it's undocumented. It's not brand new in the sense of it's never been done before. It's brand new in the sense as it's the old way and we're bringing it back, right? And when I say the old way, I mean 2, 3, 4, 5,000 years ago, either you were active or you weren't, right? The people that were active, right? If we transport our mind back to hunters or gatherers, right? Gatherers are, your crops, your farm, that stuff is daily. It's no 3 days on, 4 days off. That's daily. If you was a hunter, that was every single day because you didn't know when it was going to dry up. So you was hunting daily. You was working every day. So traditionally, before we get into the mindset of exercise, workout, gym, blah blah blah, and we're structuring these 3 20-minute workout sessions per week with 2 sessions of cardio. Boo, boo. Your body's designed to go. Your body's designed to go, right? So what we're bringing back is more of that everyday full body, right? But in much smaller segments so that it's not like you're burning out muscles to where you can, where you're going to hurt yourself. You're getting, stimulation, you're raising the electricity, you're cleaning sugar, you're metabolizing fat, but at the same time, you're not necessarily going to, pull a muscle, so to speak, right? So in the same regard as you have strength training, where, you do your max, whatever that is, for 3, 4, 5 reps, or you have endurance training where you do 12 to 20 reps, or cardiovascular training, biking, running, swimming. What we have in terms of our 5 routines or our 1 routine practice 5 times a day is now being presented by the the exercise journals and the fitness journals as exercise snacks, right? So you can find some, you can jump down some rabbit holes and find exercise snacks, or you can find exercise micro dosing, right? So there's some rabbit holes you can jump down with exercise. They haven't settled on a, like, nobody's popularized it to the point that one thing has stuck yet, but there's a few different names for doing daily short, intense, or short sets of exercise to get those, 30-second, 90-second, 2-minute, 5-minute blast, and then going back to whatever you got going on. And as people get more busier, those are the things that you could, that's what we're doing, is the future, right? As people start to understand that sitting down for long periods of time are as dangerous as smoking cigarettes, or more dangerous, because you cut circulation to the lower extremities, right? So we're just in the future. So again, I just don't want people to underestimate or overlook or think that there's, as we're breaking down the biochemistry and we talking about Krebs cycle, this and that and blah, blah, blah. I don't want people to get confused, because every day y'all see me with dirty sweatpants on and my jogging jacket. You know what I'm saying? So I don't want y'all to think that I'm not getting busy, or that we here just doing long head book material and nobody's like putting on their running shoes or grabbing the pull-up bar, or, like, I just want to make sure that, right? But then we also need to make sure that we are mainstream scientifically aligned, so that, it's not like the doctor with the gold teeth is, right? So we have some rabbit holes that we're not going to spend a bunch of time on, but I'm going to present them to you so you can go a little bit further on your own, right? Physiological adaptations to low volume, high intensity interval training in health and disease. Exercise training is a clinically proven, cost-effective primary intervention that delays and in many cases prevents the health burdens associated with many chronic diseases. A growing body of evidence demonstrates that high-intensity interval training can serve as an effective alternate to traditional endurance-based training, inducing similar or even superior physiological adaptations in healthy individuals and disease populations, at least when compared on a matched work basis. While less well studied, low volume HIIT can also stimulate physiological remodeling comparable to moderate intensity continuous training, despite a substantially lower time commitment and reduced total exercise volume. All right, so let me explain to you where this started to come in at, right? As you get guys like, man, I'm trying to think of this guy's name. It's a short white guy with really big arms. I think his name is something Nippard. I don't want to butcher his name, but he does but anyway, as you start to get more gym guys that's also like doctors, like Israel, and as you start to get more of the scientifically focused exercise guys, people start to, this is where social media has benefit, right? The competition to stand out, right? Most people competing on the internet to stand out doing goofy ridiculousness. You got a very small group of folks competing to stand out. So they're doing harder and harder. Like, they're trying to be as creative as possible with the research. So now people start scientifically analyzing and comparing everything, right? So they get into a pocket where they start just like comparing minutes to minutes, right? Minutes to minutes. And so as that research builds, they start to find some interesting things. And when I say minutes to minutes, they start doing stuff like, okay, how much minutes do you need to get maximum return on a muscle group that you put into it in a week? And so they may come up with the idea that, okay, 4 times a week, you need to hit a muscle group for 30 minutes to get maximum results, right? So that's 2 hours. Okay, that sits on the books for a while and folks are getting phenomenal results, blah, blah, blah. We're going to put 2 hours into our back, every week and, boom, we're going to grow that way. Cool. That goes on until somebody looks at that and goes, okay, 2 hours? How many ways can I split that 2 hours? Right? Because 2 hours is 120 minutes. So can I split that up? Can I divide that by 7? Right? Can I divide that by 7? Can I break that down to like 15, 20 minutes a day? And then if the answer is yes, right, that I can do that in 15, 16 minutes a day, can I then break that 15 minutes down to 3 minutes 5 times a day, right? Because I'm still adding up at the end of the week to getting that 2 hours per se of back exercise or whatever the case may be. I'm just giving you an idea of how the research evolved to the point where they started to measure the effects of 30 seconds of this, 90 seconds of that, right? How it went from the larger, chunks of time to people started to, because one of the main things as a personal trainer you hear, right, is I don't have time to get to the gym, right? I don't have the time to do that, right? Now, some people is at the couch surfing the internet all day. Some people, I don't have the time to put 3 hours into cardio every week. Like I'm a single parent. I got 4 children, 3 jobs, half a business I'm trying to start up. I don't have that kind of time. So the body of work associated with being able to break up your workout. Okay, well, I'm gonna get a 10-minute cardio in at 6:30 in the morning. As soon as I wake up, I'm gonna get this off. Woo. Then I'm gonna get a little 5 minutes after lunch, 5 minutes over here, bop, bop, bop. End of the day, I'm gonna have 20 minutes of cardio I done put in the bag, or 20 minutes of fast walking or whatever. I'm gonna get my 5,000, 8,000 steps in like this, right? I'm gonna get 2-3 minutes of push-ups in, right? So you start to have these bodies of work, and then you have places like firemen. Firemen don't have a set schedule. They're doing nothing until they're doing everything, right? So it's sporadic, right? It's sporadic work, right? You might be a musician or somebody whose time is committed, but your commitment is not stably, or it's not structured, right? So you've got to be able to fit increments in. And being one of those people, right? Being one of those people, one guy, a zillion children, writing books, researching books, creating content, editing content, delivering in my life, I needed that to be able to, right? So I'm just saying, don't underestimate the system that's already in place, and don't think that there's not a growing body of like references that you could slap somebody upside the head with if they start talking crazy. Like we got. Oh, wait a minute. That's what I'm talking about. See, this how this went down. Let me show y'all how this went down. See, it started like this, then it got like that, then it got like that, then it got like that, and then it got like that. Man, shout out to King Don. Shout out to Paul. Shout out to Twins. to the twins, right? Really, really appreciate you much more than you appreciate me. Trust me. I love y'all for the super chats, but trust me, I love y'all more than y'all love me. Man, because these children, boy, their feet do not stop growing. And they get into these grooves where, like, you could almost see their feet growing. Like, they put the shoe on and their feet coming out of, like, soon as they put it on, like next week, they done. But the beauty is, because I have them back to back to back, sometimes I can take that shoe right off of one and put it on the other. Like, oh yeah, take that off. Yeah. All right, so we got this, right? You can go down these rabbit holes. Let me see. I think I have a few more. Here. Hold on. Let's see this here. Okay. There's this one. Right? There's that one. Metabolic adaptations to short-term, high-intensity interval training. A little pain for a lot of gain. Right? As little as 6 sessions of HIIT over 2 weeks for a total of only 15 minutes of intense exercise can increase skeletal muscle oxidative capacity and endurance performance and alter metabolic control. What else we have here? The European Journal of Applied Physiology. Oh, they're trying to charge me $75 to show this. So we ain't showing that one. They went crazy. They tried to go crazy on us. What is this? Okay, this one's kind of tough right here. Right? Vigorous intermittent lifestyle, physical activity, and cancer incidence among non-exercising adults. Key points. Does vigorous intermittent lifestyle, physical activity. You see, everybody's still trying to coin this somehow. So they didn't do their hat in the ring with VILPA. That is never going to stick. They need a style coach. They need a style coach. This is never going to happen. But you can tell this is super geek squad action right here. Yeah, this is the cancer, the #1 cancer journal in the world, JAMA Oncology. This is not cool right here. This is not going to stick. VILPA, vigorous intermittent lifestyle, physical activity. That is just too much. Right. But anyway, does vigorous intermittent lifestyle, physical activity in short bouts of less than 1 and 2 minutes have a dose response association with incident cancer among non-exercising adults? Findings. In this prospective cohort study of 22,398 self-reported non-exercising adults, a minimum dose of 3.5 minutes of exercise a day was associated with a 17 to 18% reduction in total incidence of cancer risk compared with no exercise. A median daily 4.5 minutes was associated with 31 to 32% reduction in physical activity related cancer incidence. Now, let's take a pause for the cause right there. That's 4.5 minutes, right? 4.5 minutes. 4.5 minutes is roughly the same amount of time it takes you to go through the prayer, right? 4.5, about, what is it, 4 minutes and 20 seconds? And that's total per day. If you do this 3 times a day, that's 20 minutes. That's 12 minutes. If you do it 5 times a day, that's 20 minutes, right? So just doing it one time, your heel raises, toe raises, your squats, your push-ups, your jumping jacks, one time, right? That's 4 minutes and 20 seconds. 4 minutes, that's 4.5 minutes, right? That's not the doctor with the gold teeth, right? That's number 1, number 2 cancer journal in the world, right? Saying they got the study on 22,000 people. So that's not even a small bite size. That's 22,000 people, right? Let's read that again. A median daily exercise of 4.5 minutes was associated with a 31 to 32% reduction in physical activity-related cancer incidence. The findings of this large cohort study suggest that 4 to 5 minutes of exercise per day may be associated with decreased cancer incident risk. Thus, VILPA may be a promising intervention for cancer prevention among individuals unable or unmotivated to exercise in their leisure time. Okay, so now, right now, when we couple this with my favorite, y'all know where I'm getting ready to go. Y'all already know where I'm getting ready to go. Yeah, when we couple that with my favorite one, right? When we couple that with this, it gets crazier, right? Because now the results, now you got to multiply the benefit because we sticking one inside the other, right? We're sticking the push-ups with the 96% reduced risk of cardiovascular disease inside of the 4-minute program that gives you the 40% cancer reduced disease, right? Disease risk reduction, right? So we're sticking one inside the other, right? How many push-ups can you do in a minute? The number may predict your risk of heart disease, suggests a study published February 2019 by the JAMA Network. Harvard researchers analyzed data from 1,100 firefighters, average age of 40 years old, who did not have cardiovascular disease risk. Boom, bam, boom, bam, bam, boom, bam, bam. Specifically, those who could do 40 or more push-ups in 60 seconds had a 96% lower risk of cardiovascular disease than those who could only do 10 or fewer push-ups. All right. So you don't have to get the shots in the butt, right? You don't need the steroids. You don't need the shots in the butt, right? You don't have to be a gym rat. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to be, with the guys fresh out of jail in the schoolyard doing, like the crazy, 6,000 pull-ups and 78 muscle-ups. Like you don't have to be in the extreme fitness space in order to get extreme health, longevity benefits, right? And you can simply stick with, heel raises, toe raises, squats, push-ups, jumping jacks, 3, 4, 5 times a day, and get some amazing, amazing benefits. All right. Something else I wanted to go to before we started to get into the more organized part of day 3, right? Well, a couple things, right? Actually, I don't even know if I want to agitate the keto versus the animal versus the plant food. I don't know if I want to even wrestle with them folks today. But that was something I wanted to talk about. But then also the difference between drinking water on an empty stomach versus drinking water after you have some fiber, right? Because I got a few smart, like the Patreon folks are, sometimes we get a advanced question from the Patreon family, right? Sometimes we get a more advanced question. And I think that's one of them, right? Because we hear that fiber, specifically soluble fiber, because it creates gel like sea moss, it increases your body's hydration level. Like fiber hydrates the body, right? But we see on the internet, everybody talking about drinking a gallon, 2 gallons a day, even part of our program. You may not have noticed it, but we focus on trying to get you to get a gallon a day. We don't phrase it that way, but that is the target, right? A glass of water every hour that you're awake, assuming you're awake 16 hours, is a gallon of water, right? It's a gallon of water. Sometimes though, thinking of a gallon is just overwhelming for some people. It's easier to just think of like setting a reminder on your phone or something, a cup every hour, just 1 cup every hour. You'd be, especially depending on the size of the cup. When I'm saying a cup, I'm talking about an 8-ounce little cup, but I don't know any actual adults that use 8-ounce cups. Everybody's cup is like 16, 24, 32 ounces. So in my mind, since we all use bigger cups, if you set the intention to drink a cup of water every hour, but you miss a few hours, in my mind, now I could be, this could be my fanciful thinking, but in my mind, I'm thinking, you know what I'm saying? You could kind of offset, you know what I'm saying? Like, because you drink a 32-ounce cup, technically you Gucci for, you know what I'm saying? Like you really, if you drink a 32-ounce cup, you really did 4 hours, So in my mind, I'm thinking, and then some of us buy bottled water. Nobody's buying an 8-ounce bottle of water. Everybody's buying a 16-ounce, 24-ounce, 32-ounce. So the act of forgetting is kind of interwoven into my strategy of getting you to focus on having a cup of water every hour, right? Because we're Americans and we overdo everything. And if you do drink a big cup every hour, more power to you, right? You're going to have to go to the bathroom more often, but, you be all right. You be all right. As long as you're eating some fruits and some vegetables so you can replace, the nutrients, because fat soluble vitamins stick, but vitamin C, the B vitamins, magnesium, some of them you're going to have to replace, right? All right. So, quick comparison. I might have to go to the whiteboard. Yeah, we may have to go to the whiteboard. We may have to go to the whiteboard for this. Let's see. Yeah, we may have to go to the whiteboard for this. All right, and I gotta take Chase to basketball practice. Man, so we might not even get through the lesson today. We might not even get through a lesson today. I might have to rename today. Today might be study hall or something like that. I don't know what I'm gonna call it today. If we don't get through the lesson, I'm gonna just say today was like a study hall, or something to that effect. Tutoring session or something. All right. So water Man, how do I even put this on the board? How do I even put this up here? What do I do? Something like this, maybe. Yeah, here we go. Fasted versus fiber. There we go. We do it like that. Boop. Fasted versus fiber. There we go. So, fasted, you're going to have the water is going to hit your bloodstream faster. The faster it hits the bloodstream, the faster it moves through the connective tissue, the fascia. The faster it hits the interstitial fluid, the faster it hits the extracellular fluid, the faster it hits the cells, the faster the cells get cleaned, the faster that junk gets pushed into the lymph, the faster it moves through your lymphatic system, the faster it hits the kidneys, then the bladder, and then you at the toilet. Right? That's kind of how that goes, right? You don't really notice all the magic happening. You just know, give or take 12 minutes, 20 minutes, you back in the bathroom again because you didn't drink too much water, right? There's really no such thing as too much water, right? As long as you're going to the bathroom and replacing what you may be losing, right? So fasted, you get the much faster absorption, which helps you to flush some stuff, maybe even start, correcting some sugar and some salts and some of those things, right? But with the fiber, right, you get a slower absorption, but I'm going to say a more articulate. You get a more articulate absorption, right? That's important for poop, right? Cleaning out your body, right? Cleaning out your body, cleaning your bowels, getting everything moving, having a sustained level of hydration, right? The faster the water moves through you, the faster you go to the bathroom, the faster you need to drink more water, right? The faster you need to drink more water. So having some sea moss or an apple, right? Some oatmeal, getting some type of fiber in first slows down your body's processing of the water, but you get a better bowel movement. It also stabilizes your blood sugar. It stabilizes your blood sugar, and it's going to reduce any potential sugar spikes for the next few hours, right? While you have that water and fiber moving through, that's going to help you just in case you decided to have that, that muffin or, smoothie an hour later or whatever the case, you already have some fiber on deck, right? Now, This is not going to necessarily help you with metabolizing fat, right? But what it will do is help you to exercise if you're trying to metabolize fat and you kind of want to be low calorie or you want to be in the calorie deficit, right? So sometimes fasting is not actually fasting, meaning if you have an empty stomach, you got that on your mind, you need to eat, you need to eat, you need to eat. Whereas if you just have yourself an apple, you know, a nice healthy amount of Blue Magic sea moss gel, right? Or some oatmeal, or even double, put the put the sea moss gel in the oatmeal, right? If you get some fiber in, that'll help suppress your appetite. So not only are you still able to stay in the calorie deficit, but you don't have to worry about the energy crash, because you do have carbohydrates turning into energy at a slow pace, but you don't have any of the, you know, like your mind's not wandering, you know, your stomach's not growling, you know, like you still able to function at a high level while staying in your calorie deficit. So there's a lot of benefits to having a little bit of fiber, you know, 100 calories, 200 calories before you drink your first, second, third cup of water, right? And then obviously something like oatmeal, you know, it has water in it, right? It has water in it. So there's some benefits there, right? There's some benefits there. Now, on the flip side, though, water on an empty stomach will help you to metabolize in some fat, right? It will help you to metabolize in some fat. So I'm not saying either or is incorrect, but they both have their benefits, right? They both have their benefits. Neither's incorrect, because get the water in, right? Get the water in, right? Get the water in, period. Get the water in. Inky, it was no bottled water around. I drink the tap. Get the water in, right? Like, it's always better to get the water in than the other option. Unless the other option is like drinking from a sewer or urine or something crazy, you know what I'm saying? Like, drinking the water, regardless to whatever the other, like, drinking the water is always going to be the best option, right? All right. But I just wanted to add those details so that way you can tailor, right? You can tailor whatever it is that you got going on. You know, some people watching are already lean, they trying to bulk up. Some folks watching is chunky, they trying to come down. Some folks have good muscle amount, but they trying to work on their lungs, their heart, their blood sugar, they, you know, whatever, right? So you got the info, put it together. All right. So what were we actually trying to get to today? Oh, that's funny. Okay, that's interesting. That's interesting. Today, and I got this question after Medicine the other night. Shout out to Hotep Jesus. Shout out to Professor Tanai, right? Professor Tanai is on Medicine episodes all month. Me and him doing our Styles and Jadakiss thing, right? But in our conversation, right, we were talking about, am I spelling this right? Acetyl-CoA, right? Might be spelling that. I think that's it right there. Yeah, but acetyl-CoA, right? Acetyl-CoA came up a few times, and I'm not sure how fast the chat go or whatever, but after the Medicine episode, a couple folks asked me, and I was like, don't worry, it's definitely coming up in the conversation, because we're going to go through beta oxidation more than once. We're going to go through, Krebs cycle, citric acid cycle, tricarboxylic acid cycle. It's always a little tongue twister, tricarboxylic acid cycle, right? Even though those three are pretty much the same thing. Citric acid cycle, Krebs cycle, tricarboxylic acid cycle. Different people, different schools of thought used all three of those things to refer to the same process, right? So there's that, right? But this is the money, right? This is the money shot. This is the money guy, right? This is the money guy, right? Because this is the star of the show. This is your double carbon. This is your double carbon unit, or your 2 carbon. Let me not say double carbon, because then we get, some people might be, oh, how many bonds is that? This is your 2 carbon chain that does all the magic, right? Fats have a lot more carbons. Glucose is 6 carbons, right? 6 carbons gets broken into 2 units of 3. The 2 units of 3 get broken down into a 2 carbon unit and a single carbon unit, right? That single carbon unit is waste, so it doesn't really matter much. You're going to bring in O2 and turn that into CO2, and that is going into the trash. This is going to continue on to become a lot of things, right? It's going to facilitate energy production, electricity, but also testosterone, progesterone, DHEA, all of those cholesterol. It's going to become cholesterol, right? It's going to become cholesterol. So this is the space where the statin drugs kind of, right? So the cholesterol lowering statin drugs. This is why they have side effects that can get a little crazy, because you need cholesterol for vitamin D, testosterone, and blah, 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 blah. But anyway, acetyl-CoA, right? Acetyl-CoA, coenzyme A, a large molecule derived from vitamin B5, right? So you have to have vitamin B5 to get this to happen. So your B vitamins are not only your water vitamins, but they're your energy vitamins. All of the biochemical reactions that you require to make energy, you have to have the B vitamins. You have to have the B vitamins. So what does that mean? That means if you're doing the work and you're trying to get the results and you're not getting the results, it could be micronutrients. It could be, $12 standing in your way, right? Because you can get a high quality B complex for $15, from Amazon or somewhere local, wherever you at, right? And they'll give you B1, right? B1, which is important just for, sugar processing alone. B3, which is important. B3 is your electron carrier, right? That's NAD, which they're now packaging alone, standalone, because of all of the health benefits. And then they're getting a metabolite of NAD, right? Because NAD may sell for $10, $20. They have a metabolite of NAD, NMN, that they're trying to repackage as something separate and sell to you for $75. Just know it's vitamin B3, right? But anyway, vitamin B5 you need for this. All right, what comes out of acetyl-CoA? Right, what all comes out of acetyl-CoA and vitamin B5? We went over a few of them. Right, we went over a few of them. Right, we went over cholesterol, coal, ester, oil. Right, your steroids. Right, your steroids. Right. Yes, your body produces steroids. Right. Your neurotransmitters, some of them anyway. Right. Vitamin D. Right. Because if you don't have the cholesterol, I always need to repeat this because somebody always needs to hear this. If you do not have the cholesterol in your body, it does not matter if you spend 10 hours naked on the beach in Jamaica, you're not making vitamin D. It is not just sunlight you need on your skin. It's specific sunlight, UVB. That's the first ingredient, right? The second ingredient is you have to have cholesterol in circulation. The UVB is going to turn the cholesterol into vitamin D. A primary reason why people are walking around with high cholesterol is because they're not getting enough sun to convert the cholesterol into vitamin D. So this is why you see a combination when you do people's blood work of people with high cholesterol also have low vitamin D. The reason is because these people spend their days indoors. So primarily, you could just look at somebody's blood work. If you see high cholesterol, low vitamin D, you know they indoors all day. So that might be a 9-to-5er, a student, you know, day trader, content creator, somebody in the music business. They sleep all day. They in the studio all night. High cholesterol, low vitamin D, right? Because they're not outside. They're not letting the sun convert that cholesterol to vitamin D. Then on top of that is where you stack diet and exercise and all those other things. But diet and exercise is not the primary problem. The primary problem is cholesterol metabolism, right? How fast are you converting the cholesterol into steroids, neurotransmitters, and vitamin D? If you're not doing the exercise to convert the cholesterol into the steroids or using your brain, so your body promoting the production of neurotransmitters or getting the sunlight so your body's converting cholesterol into vitamin D, that's going to be the primary issue. Now, if you're eating a diet high in saturated fats, etc., that may contribute to the high cholesterol. But the main problem with cholesterol is low cholesterol metabolism, right? So this is why they give you the statin drug. The statin drug blocks cholesterol, but if it blocks cholesterol, you're also going to have low testosterone and low vitamin D. All right. Okay. What else? Let me see how much room I got on the board. Fatty acids, right? But I don't want to waste the space and put fatty acids, right? But I do want to put histones, right? Histone acetylation, right? Histone acetylation, that's histone activity, right? Histone activity, right? Very important because your histones is where your DNA stays wrapped up, right? So one of the things they talk about in terms of premature aging, premature death is methyl markers around the DNA aging. Not necessarily the telomere conversation, but the telomere conversation is more popular, so you might be more familiar with that. But your histones are pretty much the spool that your DNA is wrapped around, right? As the histone gets damaged, the DNA replication process becomes more flawed. The more errors your DNA replicate when processing, right, the more and more difficult it becomes for your corrective process that corrects all those flaws when your DNA replicates to get everything. As your cells start to replicate damaged, your body starts to look older and older, right? It's kind of the aging, or a part of the aging process anyway. So we want to limit that as much as possible. And histone acetylation, right? And as well as sirtuin activity, right? Sirtuin activity is dependent on those B vitamins, right? Sirtuins also take care of your histones. Anyway, yeah, we probably should put those up there. Let's put those up there, right? Let's put those up there real quick. Let's put those up there real quick. Just so people taking notes, right? You should have ordered your textbooks by now. Y'all should be ordering your textbooks. Make sure if you're doing these classes, you're getting the textbook. Is it here? Is the textbook right here on the screen, or is it right here on the screen? It should be on the screen somewhere. Go to Amazon and get Melanin is Anabolic, the book, right? But if you're taking notes, right, you got B1, thiamine, right? Thiamine, or if you buying them, they got one that's specifically focused on blood sugar called benfotiamine, right? But if you're getting enough thiamine, you don't really got to worry about that. Your body will make enough to do what it needs to do. But B1, right? Then B2 is your FAD, right? This is important. This is important. If you're trying to lose weight, if you're trying to build muscle, lose fat, or just look sexy, vitamin B2 is the sexy. This is the get sexy vitamin, right? This is the get sexy vitamin. B2 FAD, or B2 becoming FAD. FAD is the thing that basically carries the electrons from your fatty acids to the mitochondria, right? So if the FAD is low, automatically you're going to become almost like fatty acid resistant. Like you're not going to be able to metabolize fat without this. So yes, carnitine and blah, blah, blah and all that, but the basics, like don't forget the basics. You know, we want to hear about reishi mushrooms and what herb came from the top of Mount Everest and all that. We're forgetting the basics, right? B vitamin, right? Forget about the complex. Well, Sabi said he got this herb from the river of Africa. Like, those are good. Don't forget the basics, right? So thiamine, sugar metabolism. B2 is the fatty acid electron carrier. Then B3 is the carbohydrate electron carrier, right? Then where did we go? We went B5 is this guy, right? Acetyl-CoA. And then where you go from there, like biotin and folate and biotin, folate, cobalt. This is the main what you need right here to know, right? This is what you need to know. Coenzyme A. These four right here. These four right here are going to speed up your metabolism. This is what's going to help you to get rid of the fat, clean the blood sugar. B1, B2, B3, B5. Right? Super important. All right, now how do we get here? Right? Long chain fatty acids, beta oxidation. Each step in beta oxidation is going to produce coenzyme A. Right? Each step in beta oxidation is going to remove 2 carbons from the fatty acid or from the fat chain of carbons. And each one of those 2 carbon sets is going to be considered a coenzyme A, right? Just to simplify, right? So if you have a chain of fat that has 16 carbons, potentially that's 8 coenzyme A units. If you have a bunch of people outside with lawnmowers, all right. Now, in the Osiris Diabetes and Respiration book, if you don't have the Osiris Diabetes and Respiration book, go to Amazon, add that to your cart, check out, right? But in that book, we talk about different types of amino acids, right? Different types of amino acids. We talk about aromatic amino acids, and we talk about glucogenic amino acids, the amino acids that, you know, your body can turn into sugar. In the same pocket, your body has a wide variety of ways to produce coenzyme A because it's that important. Your body has a wide variety of ways to produce coenzyme A because it's that important. Right? Now, they have a couple different metabolites of coenzyme A. Acetyl-CoA is the rock star of the family, so you'll hear about that one the most, right? But you can get formation from ketogenic amino acids and glucogenic amino acids, right? And glucogenic amino acids. Again, why is that important? Because vitamins, particularly vitamin D, your steroids, even your fatty acid, even your lipids come from coenzyme A, right? What are lipids? Specifically to create your cells, right? So all of your cells have phospholipids that coat them, cell membrane, right? And you have a turnover every day. Adults have a turnover of somewhere around, 50 billion cells that you need to make coenzyme for just to be able to make new cells, right? So these are the costly processes. So some of this you need to know. So as you plan out what you're going to do, you know how to attack certain things. But some of this stuff you need to know just for curiosity purposes, just so you know what resting metabolic, what is a large part of resting metabolic rate is cellular turnover, right? Your body has to produce 50 billion cells a day, right? Your body has to produce 2 to 3 million red blood cells per second, right? So that cost, there's an energy value associated with that, right? And then the creation of energy has its own energy cost, right? So some of these things I'm putting just in your tool bag. Yeah, some of these things I'm just putting in your tool bag. Some of these things you need to know. Some people are watching, taking the class because, like me, they trying to get their life together. They just try to be a better version of themselves, right? But then some people watching because they're trying to increase a business that they've already created, whether they're doing the holistic thing, naturopathic thing, personal trainer thing, or some combination of the two, right? That also, I fit into that category, right? They're trying to help some other folks while at the same time trying to be a better version of themselves, right? And that includes even if you're not running a business for money, right? If you have children, that automatically makes you a naturopathic doctor, right? If you have children, you are a naturopathic doctor, whether you like it or not. You are automatically a holistic practitioner. You are automatically a personal trainer. If you don't have at least them 3 hats on, you're a bad parent. You are not a good mom or a good dad, period. If your baby falls down and hurts themselves, or maybe you got bigger children, if they twist their ankle and the first name they're not thinking is mommy or daddy, you done dropped the ball somewhere, right? You're supposed to know what make them feel good. Yeah, so that's a part of you, right? And if you're not working on making sure they're eating less crap to become better versions of themselves, right? You're their nutritionist, their personal trainer, make sure they get some exercise. And like all of these are hats you got to wear at the house, right? So again, some of this information that you're going to learn throughout the course of the next 15 weeks with this class, you know, like some of it, if it doesn't apply, let it fly. But then some of it, you got to stick it in different places. Some of it goes in the mental Rolodex. Some of it you take right into the kitchen, right? So you need to have your kitchen chemistry books. If you don't have Kitchen Chemistry 1 and Kitchen Chemistry 2, go to Amazon now, get Kitchen Chemistry 1, Kitchen Chemistry 2, add that to your cart. Check out. You got a lot of books. I'm going to write a new book called Inky Got a Lot of Books. Add that to your cart. Check it out. All right. So phospholipids. Also nerve activity, neuron activity. So when you got, okay, because a lot of people deal with this. Almost every week I get 1 or 2 people that ask me about tingling. Yeah, I got tingling in my foot or tingling, whatever. When a doctor or somebody tells you you might have some nerve issues, right? And they suggest that you get B vitamins for that. The reason they're suggesting the B vitamins is for this, right? B1, B3, B2, B5, the same 4 B vitamins. They're suggesting you get the B vitamins to help your body produce more of this, because if your body produces more of this, then your body produces more myelin sheath. Myelin sheath is the insulation covering that coats the nerves and the neurons, right? You miss it the most in folks that are dealing with MS, right? Because one of the main things that people with MS have to deal with is, like myelin sheath production, right? So cognitive function, muscle activity, and then also on the fat metabolism side, your nerve activity is responsible for getting rid of fat, right? Think about when we have those conversations and we're talking about fat cells releasing the fat into the bloodstream so your muscles could do the magic on it. There has to be a signal to the fat cell that tells the fat cell to open up and push the fat out into the bloodstream. That comes from the nerves, right? That comes from the nerves. So like earlier when I was saying heel raises, toe raises, we want to activate those nerves. That's a part of that process, right? That's a part of that process, right? So you want to keep the nerves active because the nerves talk to the fat cells and the muscle cells. What else? Oh, ketone people. There's no such a thing as ketones without this, right? So for my keto people, right, my autophagy people, my 13 and 7, my partial day fasters, my intermittent fasters, my Nation of Islam folks that's doing one meal a day, whoever, right? Everybody who is enjoying the benefits consciously or unconsciously of ketone autophagy production, those benefits will be cut without this guy, right? And just in case you don't see where the information comes together, one of the things that everybody does when they're trying to get healthier is they focus on drinking more water, right? And they focus on more exercise. More exercise leads to more sweat. More water leads to more urine. More urine, more sweat means you need more B vitamins, right? So do not be fooled by daily vitamin whatever. That daily vitamin recommended dosage is the most inaccurate when it comes to vitamin C and your B vitamins. Why? Because vitamin C and B vitamins are water-soluble vitamins, which means they're moving around in the water of your body. So if you're going to infrared saunas or you running a full court or you playing soccer or you decided to do 10 miles and whatever it is, you getting out there and you sweating crazy, just know at the bare minimum, before you get to electrolytes and all this and all that, you got to get the B vitamins in. If you're one of the folks that's going to the supermarket and you're buying different powders of hydration, right? The next time you go in the supermarket, I want you to pay attention. Do this. You'll learn something just from doing this in the supermarket. When you go into the aisle that sells all the different powders for hydration, right? Notice they're going to have some boxes with the goofy stuff, like the Kool-Aids and the this and the that, and you'll probably get like 10 packs in the box for $1.50, right? Then you move over a little bit, you're going to have the hydration packets with electrolytes in it. The electrolyte hydration boxes, right? They probably have 10 little packets in a box, and those are probably going to cost you between $3 and $5, right? Because not only do they have the little artificial color and flavor of the $1.50 boxes, like the Kool-Aids and the whatever, the Snapple, whatever. They got the little, the powders that's just nothing but sugar in it, sugar and color. The electrolyte joints have the sugar and color, plus they also have sodium, potassium, magnesium. They got a few mineral elements in it, right? Those are the electrolytes, right? So they charge you another $2. Now, the big jump in price from the electrolyte powders to the maximum hydration powders is when you get to these powders, they're going to be charging between $5 and $9.99. So these going to go from like $3.69, $4.79 to like $9.99, $11.99. These is going to have the artificial color and flavor from the cheapos. It's going to have the electrolytes from the middle section. And what drives the price up on the next group is the next group is going to have the electrolytes with the vitamin C and the B vitamins, right? So just telling you, if you're a powder person, nothing wrong with that. You know what I'm saying? If I'm somewhere and I got to grab me some powders, I'm grabbing some powders, right? Obviously, the best way you want to get it from your foods, but I'm not anti-supplement. If you need to supplement the food, right? Just don't depend solely on supplements, right? But just know what you're buying, right? You know me, I'm the master of balling on a budget. You know what I'm saying? So you need to know what you're getting per price. All in boxes that says hydration is not the same. Some of them is just flavor and color. Some of them is flavor, color, and electrolytes. The better ones are flavor, color, electrolytes, and water-soluble vitamins, because the more you pee, the more you sweat, the more you're losing those water-soluble vitamins. And there's a sweet spot where you need the water, you need the sweat. But if you lose too many nutrients in the water and the sweat, then it starts to become counterproductive. And now you're not getting the benefits, whatever those benefits was that you're drinking, because there's a reason why you're walking around with a big jug of water and you're trying to get your sweat on and woo, woo, woo. If you lose too much water-soluble vitamins, you may not get those effects, right? You may not get those effects, you know, and you need vitamin C. You need the B vitamins for all of the energy, right? Remember, your body is made out of two things, right? You have the structure of the human body, and then you have the energy that animates the structure. The B vitamins deals with the energy that animates the structure. Vitamin C, along with lysine and copper, is the initiator to building the structure of the body, right? So if you're trying to have more dense bone, you need vitamin C for that. If you're trying to have bigger muscles, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. All right. All right. I think we moving. Okay. All right. That's Chase letting me know, Dad. Come on. He giving me the Sandman on his Dad. Come on, wrap it up, man. We got practice, man. Dad, come on and wrap it up. We got practice. All right, let me see how much more stuff. All right, so we didn't do that bad today. I think we almost finished. No, we're just gonna call. I'm gonna rename today. We're gonna cut it short, and I'm gonna rename today like a study hall. Like we just warmed it up. Yeah, this is just the intro freestyle on a good album. Like, you know what I'm saying? We just hit the warm up today. Yeah, this is the layup line. This was the layup line. Exactly. In fact, you know, since we spent so much time discussing prayer today, we probably need for the one time, right? We need to for the one time. Yeah, we need to deal with that, right? So that's how. Because who knows? We might have somebody that just watched us today for the very first time, and we spent so much time discussing prayer, they have no idea what we're talking about. Right? They have no idea what we're talking about. So when we come back, we're going to go into the whole program, and we're going to discuss some more ragdolling, clotheslining, jumping off the top rope with elbowing that Robert F. Kennedy is doing to the American health system. Because we didn't get into that either. And he is dropping some elbows, and he's going crazy. He has just changed the American vaccine scene forever. So we got a few key things that we got to come back and discuss. Yeah, we got a few important things that we got to. Now, if y'all was watching the beginning of this video when I was talking about the twins, right? When you hear that signature at the beginning of that beat, yeah, that's
Inky prayer number 2. We give thanks and praise to the Most High God for the divine spark that set our cells into perpetual motion. We give thanks for the magnetism of the Most Holy, the magnetism that repels and attracts the ferry boats of light 60,000 miles every 60 seconds throughout our vessels and caves. We give thanks for the ability to drink clean water every 60 minutes, flooding the river of life. We give thanks that sugar has not covered our ferries and turned them into stone. We give thanks that darkness has not covered the riverbanks with calcium and turned them into stone. We give thanks that anger and fear have not turned our almonds bitter, turning our heart to stone. We give thanks for smooth sailing upstream through the valley of death, through the superior vena cava into the right atrium. We give thanks for smooth sailing around the heart through the corona crown, joining the vortex in the right atrium. We give thanks for the perfect black solar repeater that induces the primary electromagnetic wave, opening the mouth of the Kodesh HaKodeshim. We give thanks for the mechanical wave produced when the mouth of the Kodesh HaKodeshim closes. We give thanks to the ray wave, reflecting on the semi-lunar valves, opening a pathway to the vineyard. We give thanks for the mechanical wave produced when the lunar gate to the vineyard closes. We give thanks to the Most High God that provides the light and our breath, and the light in our breath. We give thanks for the fine olfactory system that makes our grapes ripe with light. We give thanks for the Jed pillar that provides us with a stable fleet of ferry boats to dock in our vineyard. We give thanks for smooth sailing through the pulmonary vein into the storm of the left atrium. We give thanks for the perfect black solar repeater that induces the primary electromagnetic wave, opening the mouth of the Kodesh HaKodeshim. We give thanks for the mechanical wave produced when the mouth of the Kodesh HaKodeshim closes. We give thanks to the ray wave, reflecting on the semi-lunar valves, opening a pathway into the holy royal arch of the Wa scepter. We give thanks for the mechanical wave produced when the lunar gate into the holy royal arch of the Wa scepter closes. We give thanks for the magnetism of the Most Holy, the magnetism that repels and attracts the ferry boats of light 60,000 miles every 60 seconds throughout our vessels and our caves. This is why you have to go to Amazon and get the book, Rich Abs, Poor Abs, now.